Picture this: a king so desperate for a son that he breaks with Rome, executes two wives, and tears his kingdom apart. A man who started as Europe's golden prince and ended as a paranoid, diseased tyrant who could barely walk. This is the story of how King Henry VIII went from Renaissance hero to one of history's most feared monarchs. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Henry's destruction wasn't just political, it was personal, physical, and absolutely brutal. Let's rewind to 1509. Henry VIII wasn't supposed to be king. He was the spare. But when his brother Arthur died, 17-year-old Henry inherited a throne and a problem that would haunt him forever. He needed a male heir. This wasn't your stereotypical medieval king. Henry was basically the Renaissance equivalent of a superhero. 6 feet 2 inches tall, could speak 4 languages, compose music, and was considered one of Europe's best jousters. Contemporary accounts describe him as having a face like an angel, with auburn hair that caught the light like spun gold. He married Catherine of Aragon, but she kept having miscarriages. By 1525, Henry became consumed by one obsession: getting a male heir. Enter Anne Boleyn, intelligent, witty, and promising him sons. When the Pope refused to annul his marriage to Catherine, Henry did something unprecedented. He broke England away from the Catholic Church and declared himself head of his own church. Think about the audacity. Henry literally created his own religion because he wanted a divorce. But here's the tragic irony. Anne gave him Elizabeth, not the son he craved. When she miscarried a son in 1536, Henry's obsession turned murderous. He had Anne executed on trumped-up charges, the woman he'd literally broken England for, dead within 3 years. Now here's where this story takes a really dark turn, because Henry's downfall wasn't just about his marriages, it was about his body literally falling apart. In 1536, during a jousting tournament, Henry suffered a catastrophic accident. A horse weighing over 1,500 pounds fell on top of him while he was in full armor. He was unconscious for 2 hours. Henry survived, but with one major problem: a leg wound that would never heal. For the rest of his life, this wound oozed pus, caused excruciating pain, and may have literally poisoned his brain. Modern doctors think Henry may have suffered from a condition that caused dramatic personality changes. His appetite became legendary and disturbing. Henry's waist expanded from 32 inches to 54 inches. He became so massive they had to use pulleys to move him upstairs. The court, once full of laughter, became a place of terror. Henry had developed severe paranoia. He saw enemies everywhere. Wife number 3, Jane Seymour, gave him Edward VI, but died in childbirth. Wife 4 got a quick annulment. Wife 5, Catherine Howard, executed. Wife 6 literally only survived because Henry died first. By the 1540s, Henry had become unrecognizable from the Golden Prince who'd taken the throne 38 years earlier. His leg wound had become so infected that courtiers could smell him coming from rooms away. He needed mechanical devices to move around his palaces. The man who'd once danced until dawn now struggled to walk across a room. His mind was going too. Henry became convinced everyone was plotting against him. He ordered the execution of the elderly Countess of Salisbury, who was hacked to death by an inexperienced executioner. The son he'd sacrificed everything for was a sickly child who would die at 15, leaving the throne to the daughters Henry had declared illegitimate. On January 28, 1547, Henry died at Whitehall Palace, likely from blood poisoning. They had to build a special coffin to contain his enormous body. Legend says during the funeral, his coffin burst open and dogs came to lick up the remains, a fitting end for a man who'd become more monster than king. So what's the real lesson? Henry started with everything: looks, intelligence, charm, wealth, power. But his obsession with getting a male heir turned him into history's most notorious tyrant. The scariest part: Henry probably thought he was the hero right until the end. That's how tyrants are made. One necessary compromise at a time. The Golden Prince, who'd once been Europe's most eligible bachelor, died alone, in pain, feared by everyone. Sometimes getting everything you think you want turns out to be the worst thing that could happen to you. Was Henry a victim of circumstances, or did he choose to become a monster? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more twisted historical tales.